esto es lo justo y correcto.
This is INCRadio, DZEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesianicristo.
And good evening to all our viewers and listeners of INC Radio. I'm your sister Lorraine Lawinco Manabat, and welcome to Lab Notes by Virginia and Carolinas. How are you? Please tune in as we talk about today the science behind listening. Joining us for today is Brother Andrew.
Hello, Sister Lorraine. We are leveling up in communication, and we're going to look at the science of listening. To all our loyal listeners, maraming salamat po, merci beaucoup. Thank you for being on board with us. I'm excited to hear who's next to be introduced.
Yes, brother. We are so excited to have our brother again as he joined us our discussion for today, for today's episode. But before that, we would just like to remind our viewers and our listeners, of course, our main topic for today is the science behind listening. But for our listeners who are watching right now there in our official YouTube channel, don't forget to click like and subscribe button in our official YouTube channel, INC Radio DZEM 954. Please also don't forget to type in your comments, your questions, and also later your answers to our questions later on with Brother Andrew. So don't forget to include the four letters of your local congregation, and we will announce the winners later on. So let us all welcome our guest for today, Brother Mark Langit, as he introduced himself more.
Hello po, I'm Brother Mark Langit from the local congregation of Charleston, District of Virginia in the Carolinas. Currently, I am in my first year of college studying business administration and German studies.
Excellent, Brother Mark. But we'd like to take a minute to read something in our chat. Brother Christopher Sumagat from Colombia says, happy belated birthday greeting to Sister Myra. Thank you, Sister Lorraine, for allowing me to share that greeting.
Yes, Brother Andrew. Again, to our viewers that are in our live chat for today, please don't forget to include your four letter of your local congregation. So, Brother Andrew, as we are talking about last episode, our leveling up of our communication, which it's a good start to have this topic in the start of the year 2026. Do you agree, Brother Andrew?
I totally agree. If two people are like two auctioneers and talk at each other and nobody listens, the discussion won't go anywhere. And we don't just want to be ordinary listeners. We want to be impactful listeners. And hopefully we can learn some of that today.
Yes. And as we are doing our INC radio every Saturday and each episode, there always be a listener out there that is listening to our episode, that are learning from what we are been discussing, and some of our brothers and sisters who share their experiences. So with our viewers, you can also type there. We will listen to you by reading your answers later for our question. But before we go on with Brother Mark, and as we start our discussion, let us ask this first question to our viewers and listeners. We will want to know if they're really listening. Can you type in right now, how do you listen? Because sometimes it's very different from other people, right, Brother Andrew? So how do you listen? So we want to know what are the tools you'd use for listening. And another question is, describe what why you appreciate good listeners. Of course, um, being a wife, being a teacher, also being a choir member, and also being a host in our show every episode that we have. I do always appreciate all the people that are very, very good listeners, especially when they give us feedback, especially when, we read their comments. We also had the chance to meet them. So we really do appreciate everybody here in INC Radio Lab Notes for listening with all the topics that we have. So describe us, why do you appreciate good listeners, or just type in who are the good listeners that that you appreciate. So this is the chance to type in their names, and um, I could already see one um, comment right now. It says listening 80% and speaking is 20%, and that is very true. So let's start with our first discussion points, Brother Andrew.
Brother Mark, explain the importance of clearing our mind before we listen.
We should put aside our own issues and what we plan to say next. Setting aside our issues allows us to be able to be open minded and has the benefits of us being able to remember the things that the one speaking is telling to us. After listening, we can always give suggestions or even ask for emphasis around a certain problem that they may be having.
I
I
think
think I like the one that he mentioned about clearing our mind, Brother Andrew, right? Sometimes we have the fear of not starting a conversation, and sometimes we sometimes it's really hard to say, like, like, how do you go next to another conversation if your mind is wandering, or you're thinking too much. So, Brother Mark, is there a situation in your life, like there was a chance, or maybe like, if you could tell us more about how do you set aside your own issues, because that's gonna be, generally speaking, like, set aside your issues and what we plan to say next.
So, when setting aside our own issues, whenever someone is speaking with us, tend try not to like talk about your own problems when they really are saying something to you. And then, maybe if they're having a similar problem that you may have encountered before, you can suggest, maybe advice or something that you did that can potentially help them with their problem.
Correct, because if that friend or your loved one or anyone in your family, somebody have mentioned something to you, and you are also mentioning the same problem that you have, that person just wanted you to listen, to it's like a sort of like an outlet for him or her to, have you ever experienced this, Brother Andrew, like maybe talking to Sister Minda, what happened for the whole day, you just want them to listen and not advice or anything?
yes, I have, and I sometimes am guilty of not listening well enough. And I remember the quote that you tell your students: "We have two ears and one mouth."
Yes. And I love that. I think that's Brother, I I missed the comment. It's from hashtag RICH. I'm not mistaken, it starts with letter J, who commented earlier, like, the listening is 80% and speaking is 20%.
Now, I
So,
was wondering
mhm.
how we could how we remove distractions to allow us to be better listeners, and what distractions are the worst ones out there today.
So there are many distractions that can distract us from listening to someone. So one of the major things that we should do is to put away, any of our cellular devices like our cell phones, our video games, and if possible, if we're listening to one individual, try to find a quiet place to listen so that we can really give our attention to that person. But, if we're in a conference, let's like I mentioned, put away our cell phone devices so we can give our full attention to the speaker. Otherwise, it would seem like we were just there just for formalities or any other reason. So that's why we should always give our full attention to anyone who is speaking to us.
Which I think, Brother Mark, is very hard to do nowadays, right? You,
Uh-huh.
as a child, have you ever experienced going to a restaurant or like eating outside and while waiting for, for your food, like everybody on the table is just using their devices?
It's happened, Paul, and sometimes it might not be a good look on the yourself as an individual because people are there trying to work their jobs, and if you're not giving them your full attention when they're trying to ask you something, then what why are you just why are they going to be asking those kind of questions if you're not even going to pay attention to them in the first place?
And Brother James Longett says in our chat, put away our devices when having a conversation.
Exactly, right? Because um, sometimes I'm also guilty about it. I think this is our chance to really reflect right now how well we are for the past days or maybe for the past years. Am I a good listener to my students? Because other people do multitasking, if you would agree with that. And you can type that if you're a multitasker. Like, you cannot really give your attention to multiple things. Something will really fall off. Like, if you're communicating to someone in front of you plus you're texting someone, you might have wrong sent, right? Or maybe the information you're really trying to send is not what you mean, because maybe the person in front of you is dealing with some issues. And I like that, Brother Mark. Like, really, when someone is speaking to you, you really need to put down, not only turn off, like remove it away from your area. Like, you don't want to, like, even the notification is already distraction. So let's go back with our live chat first, Brother Andrew, Brother Mark. I love the conversation, which helps us really, us person listening right now to this episode helps us reflect. So Sister Hazel mentioned cellular devices really do take away from being in the moment. We also have Sister Marina Layo. There's a three A's at attitude, attention, adjustment. I like that.
And Brother Chris Sumagot says, when listening to others, always good to engage in eye contact. So we shouldn't be looking at our cell phone. We should be looking at the person who's speaking.
Yes, I don't believe when someone say, for example, I'm holding the phone and like I'm listening. Uh how do you tell that you're listening, you're holding the phone plus, it's multitasking and you're not really giving the full attention, which I have an experience about it last Friday. That I have a student, we're having a lesson plus he's holding his Chromebook and I said turn it off, but he mentioned I am listening. But when you ask them question like, what did you say again? Something like that. So I know Brother Mark is laughing right now. Maybe he has, some situations about it. So going back to what we were talking about earlier, we're talking about the science behind listening. So why is it very important for us to pay attention, to listen? So share with us the importance of being present and patient. Why do we need to have those attributes, Brother Mark?
Being physically present and physically engaged, allowing pauses and letting the speaker finish their thoughts or what they're trying to tell us, it allows them to be able to emphasize their points. And then once they are finished, we can ask questions once they fully give out the points that they are trying to tell us. And, like taking some notes down, then we could always go back and ask them to emphasize on a certain point.
That's an excellent answer. But I would like to share that Sister Marie Dillon from the New District of the Southeastern United States is with us today, all the way from Macon, Georgia. Now, I'd like you to elaborate on paraphrasing and asking questions. We're listening to somebody and we're nodding. and they pause for a second, and we want to continue the conversation. How elaborate on paraphrasing and asking questions.
So when we ask for a person to elaborate or a speaker, it's important that we do because it's always a good thing to ask questions. Maybe if we misunderstood something or we don't get their point. Otherwise, our takeaway is going to be different from what the speaker has intended for us to, understand from why they went there to speak to us in the first place to share the information that they took time to convey to us.
And I'd like to ask you, I know you have a younger sibling. With your younger brother, how have you taught him to do this, and has it worked out?
There are times, sometimes we get into disputes. So one thing we tell each other is we listen to each other better, and if we should always let each other finish talking first, and then it does work for both of us. We do are able to understand each other better, even though we may get into some disputes, but it's a good thing we're able to listen to each other and understand where we're coming from.
Also, explain deferring judgment, talking about jumping to conclusions and those types of things.
When we're trying to talk to someone or listening to someone, we should always defer from judging them at first because we might not be able to understand where they are coming from. So, like mentioned earlier, we should always listen for them to finish speaking their thoughts and try to understand where they're coming from. And also mentioned earlier, ask questions or ask for context. Then we could probably get a better understanding and then help them with whatever problem that they might be having.
As a college student, can you discuss what listening skills might have to do with the amount of studying you have to do and how well you do on exam based on the studying and your ability to listen when the material is first presented?
So, whenever we learn new materials in our classes, it's very important that we take notes because we're already old enough to be able to take down notes and understand that taking notes is important. And by taking notes, we're able to go back to certain key points we may have missed or be able to ask questions later. And then if we ask questions, we can get more notes down and then take once we get those notes down, we can study them. I mean, it might involve a lot of studying, but regardless, we'll be able to be prepared for an upcoming exam. And if we do study enough, then we should be able to do good on the exam.
I wanted you to comment on what Sister Marie Dillon has to say here. Listening is really being interested in other persons trying to say and not just nodding and preparing your answer.
Yes, and to add more with that, brother Andrew, as we were talking about the science behind listening, how to be a good listener, it benefits, especially with our health. Like it reduces stress. Why? Because we let our brain um, do the function of like the cognitive processing. So we let receive all the words and let our brain process it instead of thinking what would be the next response. And according to what I have reading, is there's a 75% better information retention with the active listeners, and they retain significantly more information because they are fully engaged rather than again preparing for their next response. And with the relationship with your siblings, like what brother Mark said, you're building trust because you know that your brother, your sibling, is listening to you. It's not only hearing you, it's listening to you. And you don't need to talk, you just need to process everything. And you build the trust with your brother, especially with our friends also. We are their safe space when when they say something to you. Might be what happened to their day, or like how they their own opinions. So another one that answered earlier with our question is that Sister Lani Magno mentioned barriers to effective listening, like prejudging rate of speech and distractors, should be avoided. And also, we differ from our um, uh, from where we were from the geographically, the accents, right, Brother Andrew? It's very different. So not only using phone are distraction, but overthinking of like maybe they will not understand me because I speak differently, or like my language is a barrier already. But other than that, we have learned a lot from this topic and how to be a good listener. I hope we practice that and we reflect. It's also important for us to recognize what we have done in the past, and maybe how can we practice that right now after listening to this. So, Brother Mark Langit, what do you want to say to our listeners, and shout outs and greetings?
I would like to first give our warmest greetings to our executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, and Brother Angelo Iranio Manalo, for allowing us to have these kind of opportunities to share this type of information. I would also like to give our warmest greetings to our district minister, Brother Stephen Essential, and our assistant district minister, Brother Ray de Mesa. And I would also like to give my warmest greetings to our resident minister, Brother Jeffrey Maloto. And then I would also like to give a shout out to my family, my parents, Brother James and Sister Rochelle Langit. I would also like to give a shout out to Brother Eli Langit for always being a good listener. And then I would like to also give a shout out to all my friends in the Charleston and the Columbia area.
Yay!
Brother
Thank you
Mark,
so much.
I wanted to ask Brother Mark why we should come to Charleston. What can you tell us about Charleston to make us excited to go down there?
There's so many things to see and do in the Charleston area, from horse being horses carrying or pulling buggies that takes you on tours of the beautiful parts of the city. You can see historical monuments and other very important historical sites relative to the United States history. You could also try many different places to eat, like, for example, or there's other places that have fried green tomatoes and other southern cuisine. If you actually come down, there's the nearby town of Somerville, in which was supposedly the birthplace of sweet tea, which is a very popular drink down here.
Which
Thank
I'm
you.
about to say, the fried green tomatoes, Brother Andrew, Brother Mark. That is must try. It was my first time and I love it. I want to go back with that. Anyway, Brother Mark, again, thank you so much, and all our brothers and sisters there in Charleston, South Carolina. It's now time for our current church news and updates.
Church current news and updates.
Brother Mike Blash, thank you for that beautiful voiceover. Coming up on Sunday, February 8th at 5 p.m. is our Society of Communicators and Networkers anniversary and special gathering in the chapels of Norfolk, Charleston, and High Point. Coming up on February 14th, Saturday, is the Society of Communicators and Networkers eyeball activity at 4 p.m. in Norfolk. I'm looking forward to those and many, many other activities in all our local congregations in Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. And now I think it's time for the most active local congregation.
Here are our winners last week of our most active local congregation. Fifth place, Raleigh, North Carolina. Fourth place, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Third place, High Point, North Carolina. Second place, Charlotte, North Carolina. And first place, Brother Mark, Charleston, South Carolina. Congratulations to all our winners. You can see on our screen your 4 letters of your local congregation. Yay! which you're gonna be number one on our list next week. If you listen properly, when you comment, you include your four-letter of your local congregation. Again, thank you so much for all your greetings and your answers earlier. I think we have 1 minute. Let's just say hello to Sister Flo Guillermo there in Oregon. Thank you so much for joining. Sister Rochelle Maylangi. Thank you so much, Sister Mindawin. Thank you for joining, Sister Renelen, Sister Sarah Velasco, Sister Anna Blash, Brother Harold Manabat, Sister Gloria Cassidy. Thank you so much. Enjoy your vacation. We also have Sister Marie Dillon, Brother June Nanchata. We also have our Sister Marina Layug. Again, to all our viewers and listeners, thank you so much, Brother Dan and Sister Marie Dillon. Thank you so much. And of course, we will never forget to thank our Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, our Deputy Executive Minister, Brother Angelo Eranio Manalo. Maraming salamat po. Our Station Manager, Brother Wally Taray, our Executive Producer, Kuya Manly Anday, our District Supervising Minister, Brother Steve Inocencio Jr., and our Assistant District Minister, Brother Ray M. De Mesa. Hello. Thank you so much. And our CFO Overseer, Brother Melvin Bayangowan, and our District Multimedia Advisor, Brother Denzel Ben Malapit. And all our Kuya Tech out there, thank you so much. And we will see you all again next week here in INC Radio Lab Notes with Virginia and Carolinas. Bye.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you all for tuning in. Remember, communication and listening are the keys.
Thank you, Brother Mark Long.